All right, let's do that thing. Hi, Karen. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is absolutely lovely to see your smiley face on the other end of the camera. Would you mind introducing... Oh, thank you very much. Would you mind introducing yourselves to our lovely viewers?
Okay, my name's Karen Wheatland. I'm a councillor at the City of Melville. It will be coming up, I'm in my 3rd year right now, coming up to my 4th term after October, and I was elected president of the Australian Local Government Women's Association in 2019.
So it's your 1st year as president.
1st term, yes.
Were you on the committee before?
Yes, I joined the WAWAs, which is what we call ourselves, the WAWAs, because ALGWA is such a convoluted acronym. So, you know, like as West Australians always do, we like to shorten things. So we're the WAWAs. When I first became an elected member, I joined the committee straight away because I've been an advocate and a feminist for most of my life.
So sorry, earlier you said you are in your 3rd term of being a councillor, is that right? So you've been through 3 elections?
2017. No, this is my 1st termer.
1st term. Oh, sorry, I thought you said 3rd term.
I'm like, okay,
term. 3rd year, right. Okay, that makes sense, right. And what on earth made you run for council?
Oh, gosh, I asked myself that many times, as we all do. I have been a seafarer for most of my life, and in 2016 I had quite a bad accident at work on the tug. I used to work at the tugboats in Fremantle as a deckhand. I integrated rating, it's referred to as, and I had a bad accident and I couldn't work. I couldn't work in the capacity that I've worked for the last 27 plus years. So I transferred my activism for women in one space from unions to community. I think the best way to organise and the best way to get active and involved back then was for the community. So yeah. I sort of thought about it and thought, you know what, the best way to make a change is local government, and it's the most closest tier to the community. So, you know what, I thought, oh, what the hell, I'll have a go. Pardon my French if anyone doesn't like that word.
No, over here we speak French and Afrikaans and English and every other language in between.
Okay.
Also Australian.
Aussie, I'm good at Aussie. It's all good. All good, mate.
All good, mate. We love Australia.
Australia. I'm originally from Geraldton, so I've got a real twang to my dialect. I don't know.
So born and bred WA-er?
Yes, I'm a sandgroper through and through. Yeah. Yeah.
And how long have you been living in Melville for?
I first moved to Melville in, oh goodness me, 1998. I think 1998. So what are we in now? So probably 20 years ago now.
Okay, so a long time to really understand the area that you live in.
Yeah. Willagee is very similar to. For me, it was very similar to where I grew up in Geraldton. There are a lot of families that I knew here in Willagee that were from Gero. You know, so it's just a lovely community, Willagee. I really love it.
And Karen, what do you do other than council to keep yourself busy with?
Oh goodness.
Not that you need much more other than council, because council is usually, I guess it depends on what you make of it, but it can be a really all-encompassing experience.
Specifically with COVID too, Sham, you know, like I feel since COVID has hit us all, particularly my role as a councillor has just escalated. It really has tripled in the volume of work that I need to do and that you need to be across, because you know, everywhere you go in the community and you see the effect that this pandemic is having on people, and you know, I'm very empathetic and I like to help my neighbours and my community, and it really affected everyone. But like, I have tried to step up and to respond to community crises, I guess you could call it, as much as I can. But outside of that, I've got a degree in photography and design, and I'm in the middle of doing a book for myself, a project that I do myself, and setting up my own business. Yeah, it is. Setting up my own business because I lost my job at the start of the crisis.
Oh, goodness. That's sad. Yeah, that's happened to so many people. I guess we could count ourselves as blessed in the fact that firstly, we can continue being counsellors, but secondly, as you were saying, that we are still able to actually make a difference in the community, especially in this difficult times. And that leads me to another question, Karen. Why did you run for council, really? Okay, you said that you wanted to represent people, but was there something in your area specifically, an issue that you wanted to run with, or was it just in general about giving back to the community and helping?
I just wanted to be a community representative and really represent the people that I live with, I guess at the time I was an executive at Fremantle Netball, and the community there is massive. 10,000 people go through there, and just listening to people and listening to the conversations and the issues that they were having in relation to local government, and I thought, what, well, why don't I just transfer my skills as a union delegate and an activist across to community, because I've stepped away from activism many times in my life, but it's always to go back to the grassroots. I was once a national women's officer for a union, and I stepped away from that because I had two young children, two young girls, and I felt the only way to affect change was to do it through them and to teach them what is right and what is wrong. So I wanted to take what I was hearing in the community back to to the council, and I still push hard to get the views of my ward, Palmyra, Melville, Willagee, which is potentially one of the lowest socio-economic wards within the city of Melville. And, we have one of the most affluent suburbs in the whole of Perth, Applecross, Mount Pleasant. And I just really want to fight hard for the residents and ratepayers of my ward particularly, and the broader city of Melville, and women, and children. And
which brings me to the other point is, have you found it difficult as a female councillor to be reckoned at the table? Do you feel that being a female councillor, you're being treated any differently than a male councillor?
I guess in this arena, Sham, I would have to say that not as much as I have done in my previous experiences, because, hey, we're elected like the men were in our own right. There was not a side. There was no affirmative action in our roles and in us getting our spot at the table. Yeah. And I was a bit like a deer in the headlights when I was first elected, I've got to be honest, because it was like, oh my God, what have we done? But then I just said to myself, okay, girl, you've just got to learn your craft, and you've got to learn what, you've got to read, and you've got to make sure that you're across all the issues. And I think just by listening initially for a little while, but not being afraid to speak up, I guess in the past, my baptism of fire through the unions was being at the table with just blokes, with just men. But, at the city of Melville, I think there was 1, 2, 3, 4 women at the table, and now we've got 6.
So the balance is more females than males.
Yeah.
How many elected members are you on council?
So we've got 12 plus the mayor.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
it's half pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some pretty powerful women there, and we just had a change in council, and there's been 2 new women elected to council, and mate, they're dynamic. They're not afraid to go to speak up, and although we don't always see eye to eye, I think it's really important as women to recognise that we won't always see eye to eye, but to support each other and not make it personal.
Yes, yeah,
And
very
that goes
important.
for anyone, I guess.
Well, we shouldn't always agree, because if we all agree, we might be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at least if some of us are on the other side, somebody might be wrong and somebody might be right. At least then, you know, you might have 50% right and wrong. So,
and you actually learn. You learn so much. You know, I've learned so much already in this new change of council, and it you don't get stuck in that status quo either. You know, like it's like, yeah, it's refreshing, unnerving but refreshing.
Have you found it? Or what have you found most difficult being a woman on council as a woman itself? Do you think that we have particular traits or stuff that makes it harder for us, or aspects of being a female that makes it harder to be a councillor, or easier for that matter?
I think you know, one of the key issues is family and children. And I think there needs to be more flexibility around children for meetings. You know, I'd love to see introduction of maybe a creche facility at council for new mums, because, you know, as you know, Sham, you know, new mum and being a councillor, it's difficult to juggle it, and it's not a disease.
No. Sometimes it feels like it if your belly is that big, but you know.
I think there's more flexibility for that. So that's I think the other thing is the boys' club, you know, is that culture that is still not so much ingrained of the sharing of information. I find whether or not it's just inbuilt, that the share of information is not as free sometimes with, I guess initially when I was first elected, which was a different dynamic, that it was hard for me to get information that I wanted or to be included, you know?
Yeah.
I find it very different now. I'm the chair of the Financial Management Audit and Risk Committee, the first woman at the City of Melville, apparently. And
wow,
I took that on because I really wanted to sink my teeth in the role and become accountable and be a leader. And you know, the city's directors at the City of Melville just been amazing to help get me up to speed and everything like that. So I really appreciate that. So, you know, sometimes you've just got to be not afraid to ask, I guess, is the key in some instances.
A lot of women tend to sit in the back row more so than standing up and asking. That said, I guess when you're a councillor, you tend to be a more outspoken kind of personality. So there's not many of us sitting in the back row, really, are there?
No, God, no, not especially at our council, Sham.
I'd love to come to one of your council meetings, though. I haven't seen those. Tell me, what do you really love about being a councillor?
I just love I love fighting hard or negotiating hard or collaborating with other people around the table and strategising to get outcomes that the community want, or that are going to be good for your city, and to do the right thing. I think it's hard, but, you know, because everyone's got such a different view around the table. But I think at the end of the day, if you know that you've engaged in the debate and you've put your view forward and you've really fought hard, and at the end of the day, if that hasn't got you where you need to get to, you can always go again. But you need to be respectful of the decision that you make together collaboratively as a council. Yeah,
very true. It's not necessarily what you might want, the outcome of a council decision, but you got to accept what council has decided.
That's the hardest thing, I think, you know, is to remove your personal views. And that's something that I've struggled with since being an elected member, is taking my emotion and my passion back and just going, all right, I've got to look at this objectively. This is this, bang, bang, bang. Yeah. This is what I can try and do. And that's been quite difficult, but, you know, like.
Well, it's something that you practice to do.
Yeah.
You're not just born with it. It's, we're women and we're passionate, and you want to drive with your emotion on your sleeve, but you got to just learn how to deal with it. And there's a time and a place for passion. sure enough, if you're debating on the council table, you can bring that passion across, but do it respectfully.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly. And I think reasonable behaviour is you know, and when it transgresses below that reasonable line, that is when I start to get a little bit angry and a little bit reactive, because I don't like to see people attacking a person.
Yeah.
When it should just be a debate. When debate gets emotive, it's really tricky, isn't it?
Yes, I always say tackle the issue, not the person.
Yeah, same.
And that's an important one. Now, if there's one thing that you would change of being an elected member, what would that be?
That's a good question. It's a really good question, you know. It's almost, I think we are given a role as an elected member, and, you know, we're paid a sitting fee to do it. And we do a lot of work for that, you know, like, and I know back in the day it used to just be an honorary position, but I think I'm fully supportive of the compulsory training for elected members. I'm halfway through a diploma right now, but I did say to ALGWA, I think early on in the piece, that it's a diploma taught by the administration, that there needs to be more of a view in the education from the elected members side, because I found when I was first doing it that we were taught that you have to do this and you have to do that and you've got to do this, and if you don't do this, you're in breach and blah, blah, blah. There needs to be more of a collaboration. So what, you know, like in Queensland, it's more of a job for them. You know, it's classed as a job. I think, and I'm not saying that we need to be paid anywhere near as much as them, but, you know, it's almost, I think it almost could be a part-time job.
Now, that brings me to the other point of the actual workload that's involved. Can you give us an idea of your typical work week as a councillor?
Oh, my goodness. So we've got a special meeting of council tomorrow night to adopt the budget, and we've got a couple of special late motions from the governance committee and somewhere else. So we've got that on tomorrow night. And then what date are we in now? What's the date today?
Today's the 28th of June.
Okay, so then we've got an information session on Tuesday night. Currently, I sit on the incident recovery and response team at the City of Melville, because I'm also the chair of the local emergency management committee, and I've been invited to, there's a spot for me on that committee because of the pandemic. So we've been meeting weekly, Zooming weekly every Friday, and now it's just gone to fortnightly. So every fortnight we've got one of those. I think Wednesday night we've even got a meeting. I think since the pandemic hit, we've had Zoom meetings at least 3 times a week.
Wow. And just for our viewers, that doesn't mean it's a meeting, you rock up to the meeting and that's the end of it. Like, you got to actually prepare for these meetings in advance, and you have generally, I don't know about your council agendas, but ours are usually upwards of 600 or 1,000 pages per council meeting.
You know, and we've got a new mayor, and we used to go quite late with the previous mayor, and that's okay. But I think after a certain period of time, you just get fatigued, you know, and you need to have your wits about you to make these decisions, because people get angry and tempers start flaring, and that's when the bad behaviour starts to happen. So there's
so do you do so other than committees? What is your typical councillor role?
And so I met with went out for breakfast yesterday morning, met a resident, a business owner or a landlord, and we spoke for an hour. And then after that, I ran into some other residents that I'd seen. You know, like, it's just ongoing. Everywhere you go, you see people. Today I was running around the art trail and having a look at all the happiness. We've got a happiness art trail happening right now in Melville, and just looking at all the beautiful artwork that the community's been putting up. It's just amazing.
That's beautiful, yeah.
I've got about 10 emails I need to respond to tonight and send into the city, and then I've got to catch up on emails that I haven't addressed because of work. So, yeah.
How do you treat social media as a councillor? What role does it play for you?
So I used to make it quite a pivotal role, and I will be changing that again, but I got trolled quite badly. As you know, we all get trolled extremely badly. And that really affected me initially. I just didn't, I really took it on board, and I was ringing Welga. I didn't know what to do. It's really quite in your face and really a personal attack. They don't treat you, these trolls treat you as their property, and they treat you as someone they can just target and sling hate at consistently. And it's not an easy thing to take. So I switched off from social media, and even as, yesterday I was getting trolled quite badly. So I've just left the comments up there, and people have just gone, and my supporters and community members, and they've responded to it. So I think that's the best way moving forward to deal with that section of social media. I think moving forward, I will, I've been trying to give report backs on council and decisions being made. So I will continue to improve and to lift that bar a little bit more. Now that I haven't got a job too, will make it a lot easier.
Yeah, more time. You mentioned you've got 2 girls, is that right?
Yes, I do. I have an 18-year-old daughter and a 20-year-old daughter, Kimberly and Carrie.
Beautiful. So they're not needing you as much as, I guess, younger kids would have needed you. So you're able to move around with family life and council life.
Yeah, and look, my oldest girl's just got a job FIFO, so that I'm actually looking after my grandpuppy. He's asleep on the couch right now, like a little baby.
Sweet.
But yeah, so yeah, I'm quite lucky, and that's why I made the decision to do this, because I didn't have, like I've been an activist and a feminist with young children, and it's really hard, and you feel really guilty. And I went through a marriage breakup with it, so you've just got to focus on what you can and can't do, and do your best.
Yeah. And with your election, how long before you ran did you actually start running as such? So when did you start your election campaign, and how did you plan it? What was your strategy?
So my strategy was to announce it quite early, and to let my large network know of what I wanted to do, and to get the support of them first. And when I first announced it, I think I got like 350 comments under my first announcement. It was amazing, and just that support alone just built the fire in my belly to keep doing it. So then, I just started building on it from then, Sham. I think the earlier you decide to do it, I still feel my strategy was the right one, that you run with it. Some people say that you announce it later and do it at the last minute, but I really wanted to get out there in the community and let people know who I was. I was going to the shopping centre, to Woolworths, to the local IGA. I was knocking on doors. I was leafleting. I was talking to people. You know what I'm like. I'm going, hi, I'm Kaz, like I'm running for local government. Oh, really?
Yeah, vote for me.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is that people don't really know their local government members, and they don't know their candidates. They see them in the paper, or they see them on the website, and the feedback that I got was like, oh my God, I haven't met anyone else except for you, so you've got my vote.
That's great.
Yeah.
So how long was your campaign for? Like you said early on. Oh wow.
Yeah,
that's
much.
A long time.
Yeah. Oh, probably maybe 10 months actually.
Okay, but still, that's a good long lead up.
Yeah.
So when you first got in, how did you find settling in with the rest of your council? How many new councillors were you in that 2017 election that got in?
So there were 3 new councillors, and it was quite, like at the time at the City of Melville, it was quite a coup because of the whole wave park issue.
Yes.
There were 6 candidates in my ward that were running for 2 positions, because Lisa O'Malley's position was vacant because she was elected to state government, and the existing councillor at the time, Patricia Phelan, her position was up. So out of 6 candidates, I won by nearly 974 votes.
Wow.
And I got the 4-year term. I actually won Patricia's term, and Patricia won the 2-year term, which is why she was up last year.
That's interesting. So you guys, okay, because at City of Cockburn, half the council is up for election the 1 year, and other half, I say the 1 year, the one election, and then the other half the other. But we all have the same terms, the same length of terms.
So that's the same with us, but Lisa O'Malley served 2 years of a 4-year term.
Oh, I see. Okay,
and,
so it's like a by-election.
Like a year and a half, and yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. Okay. So you settled in okay as a councillor. Like, how did the other councillors make you feel? And the old, like not the oldies, but the ones that were there before.
Yeah, look, there was opposition. There was lots of opposition, absolutely, because there was a view that I was elected as part of a group. Like, because you know what it's like with elections, and in particular in that City of Melville election, there was the pro-wave park and the anti-wave park. So there was a view that that's what you stood for, and that's the way you were going to go. And the whole row 8 thing as well, that always rears its ugly head. But my thing is, I live on Leach Highway. I used to work in the port, so I've got definite views on row 8 and issues like that. But it's not a local government issue. That was my.
Yeah.
It's not for local government to decide, because Leach Highway is governed by the state parliament.
Yeah.
And what I feel personally does not affect me as a councillor, because I'm a community elected representative. I'm not represented to push my own barrow or to be a Labor stooge or a union stooge, which I'll get accused of that. I'm definitely here for the community and to represent the community the best way I can.
So you're a member of the ALP?
Yes, I am. Yep, I'm a member of the ALP. Yep.
And when you ran in the election, did you mention that as part of your campaign?
Oh, no, I didn't, but I didn't hide it either. And when it was brought up, I made a statement on my social media page that, I'm a union member and member of the ALP, but in no way is that affecting my campaign. I've got no, I ran my campaign myself. I paid for my campaign myself. We don't, Labor, like political parties don't get involved in Western Australia like they do over East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating to hear your story, and it's been 3 years, you say, but clearly I can hear that it's been 3 full years in your life, and it's like influenced or affected you in a positive way, I would say. Do you have like parting thoughts that you'd like to share with our viewers in terms of if they're considering running for council as women? What would you say to them?
I would say definitely consider it, and we need more women to stand up and to run for local government. If you need any questions asked, please contact any one of us. I will answer my phone at any time. I'll respond to any emails. I'll gladly take a call to listen to why you want to run, and I'll encourage you to run, and we will support you to run.
That's a great message. Thank you, Karen. Yeah. It was lovely talking to you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks,
and keep up
you
the good
are delightful. Work. And look, thank you so much for doing this for women in Western Australia. And I've just got to say at the end, as this is our 100th year anniversary of the first woman elected to any tier of government in Western Australia, there's a councillor by the name of Councillor Elizabeth Clapham, who back in 1920 was elected to the town of Cottesloe. With COVID happening, we've had quite a delay in our celebrations. So let this series of videos that a very talented councillor, Dr. Chamonix to Blanche, has offered to do be a testament to this beautiful, strong women that we have in local government. And I encourage you all to join our association. Thank you.
Awesome. All the details will be in the description below. So hit us up and run for council. It's your democracy, it's your voice, and we need women to be the good people that they are in sharing the love and the responsibility and just bringing that different perspective to the table. Thanks,
Absolutely.
Karen.
Wawas are here.
Nice to chat to you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.